Okay.
Couple of runners.
Yep, here we are in California. Been learning some interesting things, Andrea. You've taught me about eating raw meat and raw dairy. And what makes your experience extremely relevant is you went raw vegan for what, 4 or 5 years?
4 years.
Strict?
Very strict.
Okay, so you understand that, you've read books on it, studied it.
Had consultations with some of the major gurus.
Uh-huh. So what would cause you, after being so dedicated and probably experiencing some great health results, what would cause you to consider actually eating raw meat and raw dairy?
During that 4 years, I had an incessant craving for pizza and ice cream. And so although I did pretty much 100%, probably once or twice a week I would break down with tremendous guilt and eat pizza or ice cream. And I remember having a consultation with one of the major gurus, should I say who?
Sure.
Viktoras Kulvinskis. So
oh yeah, okay.
He came out to speak, to our community. We had a raw food community.
Here in Mountain View?
Yeah, a pretty big community.
What year is this roughly, Andrea?
This probably was like 1997, maybe something like that, 1996.
Okay.
And he told me that I just was experiencing the detoxing of my, fatty tissue and my connective tissue, old pizza and old ice cream that I had eaten, and that it was being released into my bloodstream, and then therefore I was craving.
And how long ago, supposedly, had you eaten that? Like months ago or years ago?
Well, but I had been eating it. Those are the only two things that I would crave them. I would eat them and I'd be okay for a few days, and then I would just, I couldn't stop thinking about. I realize now through, other consultations that I've had with my, primal diet, the raw meat diet teacher, was that my body was just starved for saturated fat and starved for protein, and because I was such a hardcore vegetarian, the highest protein source that I could allow myself was cheese.
Okay, so how do you feel differently now that what are the primary things that you've implemented on the primary diet? And you learned it from that one man that's done an incredible job of teaching it.
Right, Ogenes von der Planets.
Okay.
He's my nutritionist now. And what I've basically implemented, the major part of the program is eating saturated fats, butter, cream, and milk from grass-fed cows, and raw meat, so raw beef and raw fish. So when I was a vegetarian, I depleted my adrenal glands, not having any good saturated fats to feed my glands,
okay,
and not having enough protein. I ate a very low protein diet. I was young, and I had very still strong glandular system, but over time I exhausted it. So by the time I started eating the primal diet, the raw meat and the raw dairy, I had low blood sugar. I had very low adrenal function. From like 2 to 5 in the afternoon, I had to lay down behind my desk. I had no mental power to get my work done. I was just like, blah. And very quickly, after being on the diet just a few months, my energy started to come up. I did a solid 2 years on just raw beef that rebuilds your protein structures. Raw fish rebuilds your brain. So after 2 years on raw beef, I have great adrenal glands. I can go all day without eating, and I can still go on adrenaline. My body just, says, hey, the body's still demanding energy. Let's, produce these glandulars and give me what I need to keep going. Whereas before, if I couldn't go all day without eating, I'd just be a waste case.
Now that I watched you talk to Jeanette just a few days ago, and she tried raw meat at your suggestion, just not even that much. Could you just talk a little bit about the difference you noticed in Jeanette and how quickly it happened?
Yeah, the first day of meeting her, she was not very present, seemed kind of scattered and kind of depressed. She ate probably, I don't know, a third of a pound of meat that one day. And by that evening, I mean, just the whole energy in her face had changed, her complexion. She was present. She seemed emotionally up and happy. And by the next day, I mean, it was just, her eyes were bright. She was full of hope. She's got that really bad eczema, which had been really red.
Yeah.
That had completely faded. I mean, you could still see it, but it was, you know, all the redness was gone. So, yeah, it was pretty dramatic. You really notice a difference in one day. So you really know, you know, that you're on the right track.
And Andrea, what would be like your top 5 or 6 foods that you think are important to get in your system? If somebody was going to start this and try it out, and they just said, you know, I'm going to go to the store or the health, where would they go, and what would be the 5 most important things that they would purchase?
I would say the 5 most important things would be raw beef, and if you get like a nice cut of red meat, I mean, of course, the filet mignon would be the best, and it's very, very, very palatable and easy to eat. A lot of people talk about, oh, I ate, you know, raw beef off the cutting board when my mom was making, you know, hamburgers or whatever. So it would be that, some sort of raw fish. Usually people have eaten sushi.
Okay.
So albacore or ahi is pretty easy to eat. Cream, butter, and raw milk, all raw. And it's not legal in most states. California, it's legal. There's a few other states that are legal, but if you go to, I think it's www.rawmilk.org, there are family farms who sell raw dairy to the public, but you have to go usually to the farm and, you know, bring it back with you, because it can't be sold commercially in the stores. So you can still have access to it. So yeah, I would say those are the most important things. They will just totally change your life.
So you feel better, and it's just for you, unquestionably, it's
completely resurrected me, brought me back to health. I have energy, mood, brain power, sex drive, endurance, and strength like I did when I was in my 20s, easily.
Wow. And how old are you now?
75.
75. Looks like you're only 32.
42, I'm joking.
You're good at marketing, I can tell. All right, Andrea, thanks a million. Any other things you'd like to add?
Just try it. Don't judge it, just try it. Do a 3-day experiment and just see for yourself.
Right on. Thanks so much.